Well, the road goes on forever, and the party never ends with the Dallas Cowboys, especially in 2021. For Dallas Cowboys Overtime here on StarTelegram.com, I am Fort Worth Star-Telegram sports columnist Mac Engel. A good-looking gentleman over there is Mr. Clarence E. Hill Jr. Clarence, it seems we're getting a bit redundant on these things because the Cowboys don't lose, something I never thought I'd say. But on Sunday, they improved to 4-1. The second best record in the NFL behind, believe it or not, Cliff Kingsbury's perfect Arizona Cardinals. Clarence, Cowboys had a pretty bad start against the Giants, couple ugly turnovers, and then they decided to wake up from the dead and they blew out Jason Garrett, who's the offensive coordinator now with the New York Giants. Jason Garrett's New York Giants, 44-20, I think that was the final score. Did at any point in that game did you think, because of the way they started, this might be a game they actually finally lose?
No, it was going to be. I tweeted it was going to be light work before the game, and certainly they had some anxious moments early, and maybe Dak was sloppy, and he admitted after the game that he was thinking about the injury from a year ago, and it got to him, and maybe they were pressing just a little bit, but it was only a matter of time. It was only a matter of time. If you watched early in the game, they were moving the ball up and down the field. It wasn't like the Giants were stopping them. It was only a matter of time before it kicked in, and certainly the Cowboys did what they have been doing, especially the last 2 weeks when they're blowing out opponents, overmatched opponents like the Eagles, like the Carolina Panthers, like the Giants. The difference on Sunday, they didn't let off the gas. There was no late score to make the game look closer. They actually closed the scoring and had a clean blowout, at the end of the game. Sorry.
Yeah, all gas, no brakes. Wonder where that came from. That one works really well down in Austin. Speaking of coaches, Mike McCarthy now is one game under 500 here in his brief tenure as the head coach of the Cowboys, which started last season as he succeeded Jason Garrett, as I mentioned before. Mike McCarthy received a lot of criticism, sometimes justified, for some of his bewildering play calls. Now, he also had a lot of things go against him that first season. When you lose your starting quarterback, you're not going to be very good, and certainly they weren't. But you're at a place now where you're, I don't want to say waving the Mike McCarthy flag.
It's not about me.
Hang on. Oh, it's never about you. No,
it's not about me.
Says, no, it's not about me. Now, you have to give him credit. They're off to a great start. And I think there's a couple of things that he's done, specifically in personnel. And God knows I eat crow on this one, that he really hit some big home runs on that I think – Forget the play call stuff and some of the clock management decisions. It's the decisions and personnel that, in my mind, Mike McCarthy deserves the most credit on. CeeDee Lamb, Trayvon Diggs, Micah Parsons, guys like that. Those are the things that I think he deserves the most credit for right now.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is we've been handing out bouquets of praise for Kellen Moore, and rightfully so, for where this offense is running, and certainly Dan Quinn for what's happening on defense, especially after last year. But Mike McCarthy is the one that is running it all. And yes, we can ding him for some game management decisions early in the season, but how he's handled this team, he was the one who stood on a table to keep Kellen Moore, according to Jerry Jones. Whether you believe that or not, he still could have moved away from him last year. I mean, this is a guy who's an offensive guy. The way things went last year, he could have said, okay, I'm going to take over play call, take over the offense. He could have used that, if that was part of the quote-unquote backdoor deal to get the job, you got to keep Kellen Moore. Well, he could have moved away from him, but he did. He stuck to his gun and stuck to the deal, and Kellen Moore is thriving. He's staying out of the way. He acknowledged his mistake on Mike Nolan and went and got Dan Quinn. He was the reason why the Cowboys got Dan Quinn, because he went and got Dan Quinn. That's the guy who wanted to let Dan Quinn do his defense, run his defense. And again, he has helped them with player personnel decisions, and certainly it's how he's managed the team. And they're not eating the cheese. They're not feeling good about themselves. They're unselfish. That comes from the top. That whole attitude is certainly the quarterback, part of Mike McCarthy, how he's handling this team. So give him credit. He should deserve some credit for the Cowboys start, because everybody already has Kellen Moore get the new job and Quinn get the new job, and they should fire Mike McCarthy, keep Kellen Moore. Give McCarthy some flowers. He deserves credit for this start.
If you're 4-1, you deserve credit. And I know I wrote today in the Star-Telegram that I think Jason Garrett deserves a little bit of credit. He won't get any, but Jason Garrett's fingerprints are still considerable on a lot of this roster. I think Mike McCarthy inherited a pretty good team, and he's doing good things with it, which is what he should do.
Well, Jerry already felt that way. I mean, that's why he hired a guy, a proven winner, because he wanted a veteran coach. He thought they had the players to win. There was no question about that.
Yeah, and they did. And it looks like right now, anyways, I mean, we're only 5 games into the season. We still got a long ways to go. But they're doing what the owner really thought they could do. And quite frankly, I think a lot of times Jerry is a victim, if there is such a thing, for his own optimism. Sometimes I think it's misplaced given the roster. But I think given this roster, certainly the moves that they've made in personnel, it was justified to have high hopes because they're playing pretty well. You know, in terms of guys playing the best, there's a long list of guys that we can go up and down. Dak Prescott is having an MVP type of season, and I think more attention would be given to him as an MVP candidate if Lamar Jackson wasn't looking like some sort of cartoon superhero action figure in Baltimore right now. Zeke Elliott is having a tremendous bounce-back season. He's been great. Micah Parsons looks like he could be a potential NFL Defensive Player, Rookie of the Year candidate. Trayvon Diggs has been great, and he's on this historic interception streak that we've really never seen before around here. But Clarence, out of all these guys that I've mentioned, or even guys that I didn't, who has caught your eye and said, that guy has been phenomenal, like he's been the most impressive?
Well, you know, and really, we're kind of remiss to not even mention Zach Martin because he's solidified this offensive line since week 1. You know, he's playing lights out, and again, the future Hall of Famer. We always overlook offensive linemen, so I want to give Zach Martin some flowers because he is this the way they've run the ball since he's come back after the Tampa Bay game. He just dominated with the running game, helping Zeke, helping Dak. You know, it's been phenomenal. It's easy to say Dak because Dak has been better than we thought he was. Certainly, Zeke has certainly been better than you thought he was going to be. Michael Parsons has been a godsend as a rookie middle linebacker, defensive end, pass rushing. But the most impressive thing has to be Diggs. Has to be Trevor.
We've never seen anything like it.
I mean, we didn't. I mean, first of all, we expected Dak to be good. We certainly had Zeke has a track record. Michael Parsons was a top pick that they were building the defense around. And as much as we liked Diggs' ball skills as a rookie last year, there was still some questions about whether he was a true shutdown corner, this type Deion Sanders-like play. Boy, Diggs is just wowing everybody. Richard Sherman calls him the favorite for the defensive player of the year. Certainly Michael Irvin and Troy Aikman have compared him to prime times that he's playing like Deion Sanders, reminding you of prime time. I know I've covered Jerry since he got here, and he's been looking for another Deion Sanders. He thought it was going to be, Terrence Newman. He thought it was going to be Morris Claiborne because they had the speed and ball hawking abilities and ability to change the game and be a weapon on defense. Well, I think he finally got that type of player with Trevon Diggs, the way he started this season. It's just been amazing.
When you covered Deion and we watched Deion, there came a point when quarterbacks wouldn't even throw at him.
Right.
They call it the Deion effect, and whatever side of the field he was on, quarterbacks wouldn't even look at him. There's some other guys in the NFL we saw. Champ Bailey was one. I can remember instances when Peyton Manning was as good as there is, and he wouldn't even try him. That's how good he was. As we watched Trayvon Diggs in this historic interception streak, Clarence, at what point do NFL quarterbacks and NFL offensive coordinators said, forget it, don't even try it right now, worth it?
Well, I mean, I think it's going to come a point in time when that's going to happen. Certainly you look at, I think his interception last week, and that's the beautiful thing about Diggs, is the interception with the Panthers, he left his man. It was zone. He had the deep back. He saw something up. He jumped a route in the middle of the field. That wasn't even his man. So there are going to be times when you don't throw at him, but he's going to make a play because his eyes are so good. He has those eyes and playmaking ability and the gonads to go after it. We were talking to Mike McCarthy last week, and he says his eyes are dangerous. They're like, what do you mean by his eyes are dangerous? Well, his guy was wide open. His guy was beating him for a touchdown, okay? But the quarterback didn't throw it there. The quarterback threw it to the guy underneath, and he saw that. So was that bad eyes or great instinct? Was that him gambling or showing great instinct? He saw the under route. He figured the quarterback going to throw the under route. He jumped the under route and let this guy wide open.
He does gamble, and eventually it's going to get him. But right now you take that kind of trade because he's coming up with plays on the ball. that we have not seen here from a cornerback in a long, long time. I did want to mention, as we go over players who've had great starts to this season, you got to mention Terence Steele, only because he's filling in for a guy, a starter at right tackle who should be here, who's not hurt, but was suspended for 5 games by the NFL, and Lyle Collins. And Terence Steele was a guy who last season, as an undrafted rookie free agent, really looked overwhelmed at times, and at times like a guy who was just going to get swallowed up by the game in the moment. He got better. He's been good. And at a minimum, he has secured his spot in the NFL with a job for the foreseeable future. Maybe not when Collins comes back, because I imagine LC's going to get his job again.
LC's going to start for sure. But yeah, give him credit for sure.
And he's had a really nice start.
Yeah, and it's funny because we seemingly take CD and Amari for granted because they're going to be CD and Amari. With these CD and Amari made a play. But another guy, before we move on, Randy Gregory. He didn't have a sack Sunday.
But he was great on Sunday.
Pass rush.
Yeah,
he was the reason why he forced a late interception that ended the touchdown with his rushing the passer that Brown took to the house. Randy Gregory has looked like the Randy Gregory the Cowboys hoped they would get when they drafted him the second round out of Nebraska 2015.
No doubt. That was the best game I'd ever seen him play. And he's had other games where he's had sacks, and I think he had 9 quarterback pressures, which is a huge number. Now, I know we love sacks, but God, did you notice him on Sunday? He was everywhere on Sunday. He had the motor, he had strength, he had pursuit. He looked great.
And that's what excites the Cowboys as we move forward and talk about this. See, that's what excites the Cowboys because they're doing this without DeMarcus Lawrence and Randy Gregory, especially on defense. You got Randy Gregory playing this way and impacting the game as a pass rusher. You got Michael Parsons doing what he does, and DeMarcus Lawrence is coming back. It's another month away, but they're excited about what the defense could be when they get full strength.
Dallas Cowboys on Sunday will be in Boston, or Foxborough, Massachusetts, I should say, to play the New England Patriots. Clarence, the last time you and I were there, it was an ugly game. It was a god-awful weather day where the Cowboys barely lost to Tom Brady and the Patriots, and that beautiful man right there, Bill Belichick.
Beautiful.
Needless to say, things have changed considerably since we were there that day, afterwards that Jerry Jones took Jason Garrett and the entire staff to task for that performance. Things have changed. Tom Brady's not there anymore. He's in Tampa, obviously. The New England Patriots have a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones, the rookie from Alabama, but it's still Bill Belichick. Clarence, the fact is New England is 2-3. They're 0-3 in Foxborough. Is it safe to say that the mystique and the intimidation element that existed in going to play up there is gone, but because it's still Belichick, does it still exist?
Man, you got to cut the head off the chicken, man. The wicked witch ain't dead. You got to kill the wicked witch, baby. You can't just say they're dead without killing them. You got to make them dead. Okay,
you got to cut the head off the chicken.
Head off the snake.
Is that some Sherman thing? Okay.
And the chicken. You ever regular? I'm from the country, man. Sometimes you got. If you ever seen a chicken run around with his head cut off?
Yes, I have.
So anyway,
who's the chicken here?
Bill Belichick is the chicken. Okay. Just cut his head off, wring his neck. Okay, this is not for real. So we're just talking.
Understood.
Hypothetically only, people. Hypothetically. Only. But no, seriously. I mean, this is the big bad wolf for the Cowboys. It's been a big bad wolf for big bad wolf, chicken, snake, all of them. Let's throw them all in. The bottom line is they have to win the game. And we believe the emperor has no clothes. Tom Brady is gone. Okay, this is not the New England Patriots of past years. Belichick was great when he had Brady and all that other stuff. All that mystique was part of that. He's still a good defensive coach, but this is not a good team. They should have lost to Houston last week. They lost at home to the Saints. They're not a good football team. Go win the game. The Cowboys team. They're actually favored in the game. Win the game.
Dallas Cowboys are 4-point favorites, and I know last week I said the Cowboys wouldn't cover the spread. They did cover the spread. In fact, as you noted last week, the Cowboys have covered every spread this season, and it's often been said because it is accurate. Good teams win, great teams cover. Again, the Cowboys are 4-point favorites, and because I'm in alignment with you about all of this regarding the Patriots, they're just another team. You take Tom Brady off that team and some of those great defensive players that they've had in the past, Stephen Gilmore's gone. They're just not that good. They're a below average team. They're breaking in a rookie quarterback, and it looks like it. I expect the Cowboys to win. Before we move on to a final subject, we have done pretty well on fantasy advice so far. I've done amazingly well. Last week, I suggested the kicker. Greg Zuerlein killed it. I know we've been creative. We're kind of repeating ourselves sometimes. Clarence, do you have any good advice to the good people out there in terms of making fantasy lineups based on Cowboys and Patriots?
Yeah, if I understand it, the Patriots they play a lot of man defense in the secondary, man one, whatever you want to call it. They don't play a lot of zone. I'm looking for CeeDee Lamb to have a big game. Just like, when the Giants jumped into a man, Dak burned him over the top with a perfect route for CeeDee Lamb for that 9-route, 49-yard touchdown into the end zone, perfect aerial. CeeDee Lamb, go with CeeDee Lamb.
I'm going to go with the wide receiver pick, and the times that I remember in covering Cowboys Patriots with you, and as many Patriots games that we've all been forced to watch over the years, the one thing Belichick does as a defensive coordinator is that he sells out to make sure to take away the one thing that you do well. And you mentioned CeeDee Lamb. I think it's become pretty obvious. CeeDee Lamb is a pretty
CeeDee Lamb is a pretty good. He's certainly. Go ahead. Can you hear me? You're breaking up. But CeeDee Lamb is one the Cowboys, are going to focus on, and certainly somebody that obviously opposite Amari Cooper. The good thing about the Cowboys is that you don't know who to stop. Do you stop the running game? You stop Lamb? Do you stop Amari Cooper? You have to pick your poison. And so you certainly take CeeDee Lamb away, take Amari Cooper away, they'll beat you with the running game. Take the running game away, they'll beat you with CeeDee Lamb or Amari Cooper. Take those guys away, and Dalton Schultz is going to eat in the middle of the field. So that's why they kept fine. That's why the Cowboys all season, you take this part away, I'm going to do this. And that's why they're dangerous. And that's why they've been dangerous. I mean, last week they had 300 yards passing, 200 yards rushing for the first time since 1983. 1983, I was a freshman at UT.
I don't know what's more unbelievable, that you were a freshman at UT in 1983 or the fact that it's been that long. It felt like more like you would be a freshman at UT in 1963. Anyways, let's move on to our last subject. I know that's a good one.
They were beating OU back then.
Well played. Last subject we're going to cover here on Cowboys Overtime, and this is not necessarily a Cowboys specific.
We apologize for Mac Engel's internet. He's going to have to do something with that cricket internet he has over there. I don't know, what service he has. But the thing that I hope he can hear me. But the thing that we want to talk about certainly is John Gruden and his getting fired by the Raiders or resigning by the Raiders after his racist, homophobic, misogynistic emails have come to light. And I think it certainly was the right thing to do for him to step away. He is not alone with those thinkings, those thoughts, and that it remains a problem in the NFL. The NFL that banned Colin Kaepernick for less. The issue that a lot of people have, there were over, I think, 60,000 emails.
I thought it was 650,000. I thought it was 650,000.
Okay, whatever it was, it was a whole lot of emails.
Yeah, it's a huge number.
It was thousands and thousands and thousands of emails that documents that were uncovered in this investigation into the Washington football team under Dan Snyder, and only Gruden's have been made public. Somebody trying to get Gruden made.
Somebody in the NFL, because where's the New York Times located? It's in Midtown Manhattan.
Yes.
The NFL office is in Manhattan. It's not a coincidence that, and if you look at, and the other part of this that's a little confusing, when I think most of these email exchanges were going on, Gruden wasn't a head coach. He was an analyst at ESPN.
Yes.
So, and obviously ESPN has a little bit of, you don't want to say they're a culprit by any stretch of the imagination, or that they knew or anything along those lines, but clearly they have some role in this. I don't know to what extent, but the fact of the matter is, they uncovered this, and certainly somebody in the NFL offices wanted John Gruden out. And they were going to leak these things until Raiders owner Mark Davis said, okay, John, I love you, but it's time to go. The bigger question about this is Clarence, do you think this kind of move finally sends a signal to all these old school NFL coaches? And John Gruden is not that old, but he's certainly one of your cliched, stereotypical football coaches that tells these guys, clean it up. Quit acting like some 1935 dumbass and watch what you're doing and be better.
I don't know, because, impress me, improve your minority hiring. Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
Not just in the coaching staff, but in the front office. And certainly the bigger issue is it going to be a wake-up call for the owners? You're going to let, Dan Snyder slide, but we're going to throw, Gruden under the bus. I mean, and it seems like the owners certainly going to protect themselves, but they'll make Gruden the quote unquote sacrificial lamb. And I don't want it to be. I don't want this sympathy to go to Gruden, because he was wrong, and he's had these thoughts. And again, some of them were 10 years ago, but some of them was as late as 3 years ago. I mean, this is how he thinks. This is what he is. Oh, I don't have a racist bone in my body. Lie. I mean, this is who you are, and behind closed doors. And certainly there are a lot of coaches and old school football people are like that. And it's 2021. That behavior, that attitude needs to be rooted up out of the NFL. And certainly it starts with the coaching staff, but certainly it's also in the front office and as well in ownership.
Yeah, and I think you have a commissioner right now that is aware of his legacy. He's on his last contract, and he's going to make this sort of thing a priority, considering how badly he screwed up the Colin Kaepernick situation, that he's trying to undo some of the damage that he helped create, quite frankly, as he prepares for life after his time as NFL commissioner. All right, that's it here on Dallas Cowboys Overtime on StarTelegram.com. For all of your Dallas Cowboys and sports needs, make sure to check us out on StarTelegram.com. Cowboys, Patriots on Sunday. Expect the Cowboys to improve to 5-1. Talk to you next week.